time for another episode of the Animated Critics. Coming to you live from the studio, it's your favorite movie mavericks, T and J.
Thank you for joining us for an all-new episode of This Week in Movies. I'm Jay, here with my co-host T, and we're going to be reviewing some of the big news coming out of Hollywood this week. We're going to be taking a look at the box office numbers for the weekend. We're also going to be discussing the bankruptcy of Blockbuster Video. We're going to be discussing the troubles that Peter Jackson is facing with The Hobbit. And we're also going to be taking a look at The Social Network and discussing what we feel the box office and Oscar chances are for that film. First, the weekend numbers.
In at number 1, we had Wall Street 2 earning an impressive $19 million. This opened just about as well as The Town did. And surprisingly, these adult-oriented dramas are actually earning now. And I think that really after such a bad summer, that when you have real movies that have some sort of depth to them, people are actually starting to come out and see it, and you're getting even an older crowd as well as a younger crowd.
Opening disappointingly in 5th place was You Again, the Buena Vista Disney film. It had a $20 million budget and it only opened with $8 million. It actually opened with less than the second weekend of Easy A, which is becoming somewhat of a box office hit. Are you surprised?
This is something that Disney has been struggling with for a while now, and they really have just been unable to reach the younger audience that they once had a stranglehold over. A cheap movie like Easy A comes out and just trounces it, and I think that Disney needs to really think about what its brand needs to represent again, because the younger people of today are definitely different than the young people from yesterday.
Some troubling news coming out of New Zealand, dealing with Peter Jackson and his struggles to get The Hobbit to the big screen. Can you go ahead and explain to some of our viewers what's going on with this whole situation?
Sure. Well, the Australian Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance is teaming up with New Zealand Actors Equity, and they're trying to pressure Peter Jackson and Warner Brothers into making deals with them to get New Zealand actors in the union. They're trying to make union deals with them. They're trying to gain a foothold and create, I guess, their own version of SAG, and to get some money and power out of the whole thing. This is a bad situation here in Australia right now. They've said that Disney is no longer looking to shoot in Australia because of these types of reasons with the unions there. And this is a situation where the unions don't really have a need to be rising up against movies like this. Peter Jackson and Warner Brothers usually do a pot for the SAG and the other unions, and based on how well a movie does, money goes into the pot and they get shared with those union people. And he said that they've already done that on this movie for the non-union New Zealand people who are working there. So he's already done more than he needs to do to make things right with them, and still he's getting this pressure here. And now they're talking about taking it and moving it perhaps to Europe, which would take millions of dollars out of the New Zealand economy.
And really the only other time I can think of a director being a strong arm like this was when Rodriguez refused to use union people when he was scheduled to shoot Zorro back in the 90s, and he walked away from that project because of that. And I applaud Jackson for standing up and not being forced into doing this. This production's been plagued. I mean, they've gone through numerous different directors, and Jackson was going to be a producer at one point, and now he's stepped in to be a director, and they just can't seem to get the budget or everything off the ground and all the cylinders firing here, because he's having a lot of trouble here, and it just looks like this is going to be one of those films that's going to take a lot longer to get to the screen than originally thought. Well, the writing's been on the wall for some time now with their arrival of Netflix and Redbox, but this week, Blockbuster Video declared bankruptcy. It's not really surprising. They've been downsizing for years. Lots of stores going out of business in different locations across the United States, but this is the death of the physical video store. Now with Hollywood Video out of business, mom and pop video shops long gone, and now Blockbuster. Are you okay with this trend, or did you see any of this coming?
Sure. I mean, we've seen for a long time that Blockbuster has been having less foot traffic in the stores, and they've been closing down unprofitable stores. But Blockbuster has had and always had a slew of unprofitable stores, and that's how they got to be the giant that they are today. You go into an area, you open up a store, it makes no money, sure, but all the competition in that area gets killed by you. So they were able to exist based on the wide net of stores that they had spread out. This whole problem really started in 2004 when they spun off from Viacom. And essentially what they said was that they agreed to pay Viacom shareholders a certain amount of money, which amounts to about $1 billion. So immediately off the bat, they're $1 billion in debt. But back then, they were making, $500 million a year, so they figured they'd be able to pay that off, no problem. And then Netflix hit. It was just something that they weren't expecting. They were slow to make a change for it, and the war between Blockbuster Online, their by-mail service, and the Netflix really hurt them even more. They gave away the whole farm on that thing just to get customers and people to come in and join up on that, and which they were giving away free rentals at their block and mortar stores, which hurt those stores a lot and made them lose even more money. So it was a case of mismanagement, a case of bad foresight. Luckily for them, they've had Carl Icahn in their corner for a while, and this bankruptcy is going to help them more than hurt them. And I think that Blockbuster, they said that in 2009, they said Blockbuster is going to declare bankruptcy. They've held out to the very end of 2010. And at this point, it looks like they're actually going to go on and probably do pretty well.
Do you think there's a need for a physical video store?
I like the idea. I mean, I've always loved physical video stores, but then again, we grew up on these things, and I think people nowadays, with the digital downloads and stuff, people aren't even going out to the CD stores anymore, which you and I both still do. Back in the day, it used to be having a physical object meant something, but now it's just, they come through the mail in a little sleeve, and you watch it and you throw it back in the mail, and it doesn't really mean anything, versus going down to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video and actually getting, a box of something with the artwork and stuff on it. That, to me, is a far better experience.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of video stores. It's a relic of the 80s, some say, but regardless, it's nice to be able to go in there and physically see something, read the back, the synopsis, and like you said, the box art was always a big thing. A lot of movies made their, you got people like Asylum Entertainment who make their whole living based on box art. So it should be interesting to see what happens even with that company in a partnership with Blockbuster Entertainment.
Debuting Friday is The Social Network, and this is a movie that, from the very first trailer, you and I both thought was really good. And I've been a fan of Jesse Eisenberg for a while now, and I think that he looks like he does a really good job in this movie. Also, you have David Fincher directing, Aaron Sorkin writing. So I think that this is going to be a pretty big hit. And it's also about Facebook, right, which is huge. So those numbers alone, just 500 million Facebook users, I think that this movie is going to be a big box office hit.
I agree with you. I think the pedigree behind this, with Fincher directing, Aaron Sorkin's script, the script had been floating around for a few years. It was, said to be one of the great unproduced scripts at that point. They got an excellent A-list cast behind them. Oscar talk has already started from the critics that have seen it, from the film festivals that it played at, and they're saying Best Picture nominee, Best Director, Best Actor, all that kind of stuff. It does look like it has the dramatic weight of a fall film, a serious film, and it's an interesting subject. Everybody uses Facebook. Not everybody's sure how it was invented or the story behind it, and I think this is going to be a huge hit.
Yeah, if the setup from the town going into Wall Street 2 and now going into The Social Network, if that's not a big enough setup for how well this movie is going to do, then I don't know what is. I'm saying, in the 20 millions, absolutely for sure.
Yeah, I actually forecast like a $25 to $30 million gross for this next weekend, and an eventual $100 million before the Oscar nominations come out, which is going to give it probably another 10 to 15 million. And I'm excited for this film. Like you said, we've been watching this trailer for a long time, and the buzz is good, and people are talking. It's a subject everybody knows, but nobody really knows everything about it. If you haven't seen this excellent trailer, please click on the link below.
Debuting September 28th, this Tuesday on DVD. We got The Cleveland Show, Season 1. I got Family Guy, Partial Terms of Endearment, Frozen, Get Him to the Greek, Iron Man 2, The Killer Inside Me, Legend of the Seeker, 2nd season, Marvel Knights, Astonishing X-Men, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, NFL's Greatest Rivalries, Nightmares in Red, White, and Blue, the evolution of the American horror film, Party Down Season 2, Private Eyes, Scrubs Season 9, and also Scrubs The Complete Collection, South Park Little Box of Butters, Super Size Me Special Edition, Superman Batman Apocalypse, and the Criterion Collection's edition of The Thin Red Line.
I've always been a fan of The Thin Red Line. I'm interested to see what the Criterion Collection and the special features on that disc are for that film. Did you get a chance to see that?
I enjoyed it. I think it was a little too slow for my taste, but I am always interested in Criterion Collection stuff. They have great special features on those discs. Check the links below. We have Amazon links to all of these movies for purchase. We also have links to our reviews for them.
And be sure to check out MovieMavericks.com for all the latest trailers, movie news, and exclusive interviews. This week we're featuring an interview with B-movie action star Oliver Grunier, where he gives us an exclusive about plans to have a B-movie version of The Expendables starring 12 action stars of the 90s. He did specifically say Jeff Speakman and Lorenzo Lamas were included in that group, and to tell you the truth, I'm really looking forward to that kind of a film.
Me too. I'm a huge Lorenzo Lamas fan, so Jeff Speakman also.
And after talking to Grunier, I'm a fan of his as well. Just want to thank everyone for joining us for this week's episode, and be sure to check back next week for our next episode.